TrekWars, Duels Across the Stars, Episode 35, The Best and Brightest, Top 5 Episodes. It is a period of intergalactic war. Two Padawans are returning to Coruscant in order to complete their trials. During the trials, they will be tested in ways they have never been before, as they are sent out to find multiple datacrons and captain's logs. Meanwhile, two Herosian hunters track these Padawans, seeking data needed to rank the top 5 episodes from Star Trek and Star Wars.
Oh, welcome to Duels Across the Stars. I'm Ben. My co-host is
Olympus. Great to be here for episode 35. Can you believe it?
I definitely cannot believe it. And oh god, it's at 35. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, it's 35, and we've got top 5 episodes which are coming out on YouTube and Duels Across the Stars on Apple Podcasts. So you can have it just in your ears, or you can have us and look at our lovely pretty faces and enjoy the pleasantries then. If you don't know already, we're going to be ranking Star Trek against Star Wars and come up with our top 5 episodes from both of those franchises. Not two separate ones, one single one where we put them together. So let's hear us, damn it, go straight into it. Olympus. Did you set any rules or standards for helping you come up with your top 5 list?
I did, so the first thing I was thinking about when I looked at that list was, episodes. Well, guess what? Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Episode 3, this. And then I thought, yeah, I'm not letting myself do that. So this is purely specific episodes from television series from the relevant franchises.
For anybody who's too young, that's what you had before you had streaming on your phone or iPad or
Oh, yes.
whatever construction you got now. But yeah, it's anything that's not the films, basically. For me, I didn't have many rules on this, other than I wanted to have them from different shows. I decided to have. I didn't want repeats from a repeat show, so I didn't want two from The Mandalorian. I didn't want or two from PNG. They had to be from different stuff. Now, I did struggle with certain shows because they're more serialized. Come up with a single episode by its, so you're gonna have a lot of things for nostalgia and standalone episodes. I apologize up advance, but maybe we'll do seasons one day where you can retrogate that and pay for that on this one. That makes sense? Maybe.
I think it might have.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm going to do my number one. Oh, no, my number 5 pick because I'm going in reverse order. This.
Go for it.
So I have gone to Star Trek Voyager for this, and this is called Living Witness. This is a episode about the Doctor or one of the Doctor's backup, one of his backup jig storage devices, which were found on in the ruins of an area where Voyager had been. Probably about 700 years later, I think, and they wake him up. Basically, he thinks it's only been like a couple of minutes, but because he's the Doctor and he's been offline. But the people that found them in this museum have completely misidentified Voyager. They think it's warship Voyager. They think he was an android. They think they Voyager are helping their enemies fight them, whereas they weren't. They were just having a trade station with these guys who wanted to take advantage of Voyager for their own benefit. And in the end, you've got this person who thinks the Doctor's an evil genius trying to kill everybody. And you've got the Doctor who goes, I'm not this. I'm going to shut myself down. I'm going to say nothing. You want to kill me? Fine. I'm not going to help. And then it's like they both meet in the middle as and go to show the truth. And it's a way of showing how mistakes happen. In It's not always what it appears at first sight, and it's a lovely story. That's another one of many ones where it has a little bit of a story behind it, and you have in the end all these equality the species between the two species on this planet who were fighting and having a civil war amongst each other, help each help each other, um, and have peace in the end. Um, yeah, just by talking and listening to each other and helping each other. Olympus, any thoughts?
It's an episode I barely remember, so I'm going to have to go away and watch it because it has really intrigued me, and I've watched Voyager a good few times over now. So I'm going to have to go find it because I love the character of the Doctor, and I don't really remember this episode very much. So yeah, that was a lovely surprise. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I love time travel episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I love this is not quite time travel, but it's in a future. And even though I'm not a theorist, I love that kind of thing when they go down that line or try to see a alternative version of something. And anyway, what is your number five?
So I'm going to flip franchises and go to Star Wars and talk about very, very briefly Obi-Wan Kenobi, specifically Part 6, in which you get the sort of culmination of the build-up from the previous 5 episodes as Obi-Wan starts to rediscover himself and become more comfortable in himself and forgive himself for everything that happened during the Clone Wars and Order 66. And he comes face to face with Vader slash Anakin, and they fight it out in another phenomenal duel, which was full of energy and emotion, and it was just damn cool Star Wars as well. And it Obi-Wan Kenobi being a character that I feel a lot for, it really hit home in all the right ways. You know, you had the nostalgia play at work that landed quite well, but actually, when you forget about the nostalgia for a minute, it was a very powerful scene and a very well choreographed battle as well. When you consider the two characters are a bit older, Anakin is now X% machine. So you can see the sort of evolution or devolution of their fighting styles, but it's still a brilliant scene to watch. But the bit that hits me home most is the emotion, not just from Obi-Wan's side of the fence, but also from Vader's and Anakin's. And yeah, it helps provide some closure and some, I guess, self-forgiveness for Obi-Wan, and that's why that's my number 5. And I will caveat here, because I forgot to earlier on, that my top 5, every single one of these could be number 1. I've just fitted them into 5 through 1 purely because I can't have all of them being number 1. But literally any of them could be my number 1 choice at any given moment.
And no, fair enough, and I completely agree with you on that one. It's definitely, and I could interchange any of mine with probably about 10 others. So, yeah. Anyway, thinking about for my number 4 pick, I like seeing a different version of the characters in the shows, and also time travel. I'm going to go with my one from Star Trek Enterprise. I'm going to go in a Mirror Darkly, part 1 and 2, as a joint episode, because you've got to watch it together. Um, and this is a mirror universe where you don't see any of the current, or not current, any of the current characters other than database. And whereas the previous ones, it's the previous people from the the characters going over to the mirror universe or the other way around. This one was completely the characters from the mirror thing, because Kirk, Kirk was the first person, or Kirk, her, I think somebody else I cannot remember, traveled back into the mirror universe. And then for the written record, they were the first people, even though Discovery had done it as well. That was a secret off the records. Maybe Kirk may have known about it, because he needed to salute quite quickly, yeah, when he first done that. But the point is, you had them all being different first officers, different people. You had Captain Archer being the first officer and trying to make him self up, always seeming to be nobody was taking him seriously. He would almost give over that insecurities. And time travel part of it, you meet uh, the USS Defiant, which was a TOS ship that travelled back in time as well. And you get them dressing up in TOS garb. Um, you've got somebody taking over at the end and becoming emperor. Should I say empress? Um, and you've got the non-humans, uh, non-humans uh, trying to take over as well and trying to set up a rebellion. You've got lots of shenanigans going on. There's them all fighting between each other like you would expect in the mirror universe, and it was a lot of fun watching this. So that's my number 4 pick, In a Mirror Darkly, which I keep calling In a Mirror Darkly, but hey ho.
So what's it called? Is it In the Mirror Darkly?
In a Mirror Darkly.
In a Mirror Darkly. See, I copied it down wrong as well. Oops. Lovely.
Part 1 and 2.
I am not surprised if that there was only one episode of Star Trek or Star Wars that I could think of that I knew you would pick, and that was it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And
Actually, that changed at the last minute. That
did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was okay.
Oh, at the end,
Okay, interesting.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, tell me in the end, because I thought that would have been there as a certainty. So yeah, that's surprising. Okay. Mirror Universe episodes are always good fun. It's always lovely to see the characters playing themselves in different, twisted ways. So yeah, glad you picked that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. What's your number 4 pick?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Star Trek, and I'll jump it forward a little bit in time to the Next Generation and its very last 2-part episode, All Good Things, which is, I've talked about this in previous episodes as well. It's a lovely sort of culmination and send off to the Next Generation crew. It explores some typical themes that you would expect a Star Trek show to explore, including themes of family, loss, and as well as there being, falling outs. Time travel is again a big part of this episode, and I've always said some of the best Star Trek episodes out there involve time travel to some degree. I do honestly think that. So yeah, all in all, it's as I say, a beautiful, emotional farewell to the Star Trek crew that kicked off my love of Star Trek for me. So yeah, that's why I've picked All Good Things as my number 4.
It's definitely all good things. It starts with a Q, ends with a Q. It's a lovely episode. You get to see Tasha Yar again. You got them trying to work out what's going on, a little bit of problem solving, and I think you get to see O'Brien again. I think as well, so even better.
I think you do, yeah. And
And
congratulations to Cole Meany. He's recently won an award in Ireland. It's a Lifetime Achievement Award. So
cool,
congratulations to him on
he
that.
deserves it. Yeah, not just for Star Trek. To be honest, the only other one I really know him from is the one of the film about Brian Clough. So was it something like 30 Days or something like 19 Days?
Something like
Uh,
that. But he has been
yeah,
in a few things.
no, definitely. Yeah, definitely deserves it. I'd
100%.
say.
So what's your number 3?
Oh yes, my number three pick. I don't think we get to see Colomini in this one, um, but it's a season 2 episode, and it's a holodeck episode. One of my favourite episodes. Whereas you say time traveling is some of the best ones, I think some of the holodeck ones are some of the best ones, in my opinion. Um,
I can see why. I can see why. They are fun ones as well.
yeah, and this one is into season 2. And it's Elementary, My Dear Data. The crew are waiting for the the victory to arrive. I presume it has the prefix USSS rather than the one that is in engineering, which has HMS, um, which Geordie built, ready for his previous captain of the victory. And Data and Geordie go off and have this deck adventure, which Geordie gets upset with because Data's memorized all the basically the episodes and gone, this is what happens at this time. This is what happens this when, yeah, that's the answer. We're just going to cut to the end and go. It's like it, it's all about the journey. Geordie was saying, and Dr. Plasky, who they overheard this conversation, says he's not capable of doing such a thing. He to just memorize everything, and that's it. He can't improvise. He can't come up with this. But after a little bit of working out and Geordie saying we need a story that can beat Data, well, that comes up with that. And the only person who can beat Data is the only person who can beat. Uh, I was about to say Watson there. Sherlock Holmes himself is Moriarty. He works out how to get the arch up, works out what the Enterprise is, and um, and like Holmes at the time of when this book got written, he had to realise he had to lose himself to win. He had to work it out himself with the help of his friends on the ship and his crew members. And Worf actually looks great in a Victorian outfit in this one. So give him Worf his due there. Olympus.
Yeah. Wolf did look good in that. It is one of my favorite episodes in season 2. Absolutely is. I particularly love Sherlock Holmes stories anyway. I love Data, so I loved them exploring that world and doing it in a very Star Trek, very fun way, with some serious potential consequences though that came through from it. And it also helps in the development of Pulaski's character, which is the last thing I really, really like about all of that, because you see Pulaski at the start of season 2, and she's very much anti-Data. He is a computer, he is a thing, that is it. By the end of season 2, she's really turned around a lot from that. So yeah, this was
Yeah.
a big stepping stone towards that point.
Oh, completely agree, and definitely helps with their friendship for Geordie and Data.
Oh yes, definitely does.
Data.
No, not Data. Naughty Pulaski. So my number 3, I'm gonna switch us back to Star Wars. We've given quite a bit of love to Star Trek there, and I'm going to go to Ahsoka, which is one of my favourite Star Wars series, and the episode Far, Far Away, which starts off with this beautiful scene. You've got Ahsoka and Hu Yang in the mouth of a star whale traveling at warp. For the Trekkies, it's hyperspace for the Star Wars guys,
Yeah.
and they're chatting away about life and how things have come to the point they're at, and being a bit philosophical. And then Ahsoka sort of finally accepts him because she gets fed up with the conversation. It's going away. She doesn't want it to. I think she goes, you know what? Fine. Tell me a story that you were going to tell me earlier on that you used to tell the younglings in the academy. I call it academy. See, I've got Star Trek in my head.
You've got
In the Jedi Temple.
your
In the Jedi Temple, and he says, "Of course, yeah, sure, no problem." She says, "Pick whatever you want." He goes, "Okay." A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, and I just felt it there. You just get chills down your spine when you hear him say it. It's absolutely beautiful. So, for that reason alone, and the feelings that came from that, because it's the first time in history that you hear those words actually said in a Star Wars movie, TV show, whatever it is. You'd never hear it before then, actually being uttered
and
in
you had to
canon.
have the doctor say it. So.
Oh yeah, you've got to. You had to have the incredible David Tennant, who I absolutely love as Hu Yang. I'm so glad he reprised the role from the animated show. And there's a second reason why I love this episode so much as well, and that's because it reintroduces a villain from Rebels who has several books now about him as well. And he really is a villain to be considered. He is on par with the likes of Vader in my eyes, just for very different reasons. Where Vader had a lot of power and strength behind him physically, Grand Admiral Thrawn is intelligent and tactical beyond belief. And that's exactly how he ends up defeating Ahsoka in this season. And I won't say much more than that, but the introduction or the reintroduction of his character in this episode was spectacular. It was beautiful, and he is played brilliantly.
And it's really nice to have Chiss in live action,
isn't it?
TV, as well as Traguta. Can't even say it properly for that matter. Thank you. For that matter, it's been really nice. And Admiral Thrawn, yeah, definitely. And just want to heads up for, I think it says Captain, but correct me if I'm wrong on the ranks. But was that like Roman style face covering?
Yeah, the gold one. Yeah, it was, that was almost like a Roman centurion kind of thing, wasn't it? It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's it's my number 2 pick.
It is.
Now, my next episode is not very long. They did a little series which I wish they continued called Short Treks. If you haven't worked that out, that's from Star Trek. And they've done some really good setups for previous shows and some standalone shows. There's 2 that really stand out to me. And one of them is called The Escape Artist, which is very Star Wars related because it involves bounty hunters. And you have somebody catch hardcore Fenton Mud and point the authorities of the Federation to a starship. If a bounty, you have Mud trying to escape and talk his way out of things, like he does. Then gets to the Federation starship, and it's like, you have the bounty hunter going, "Oh, okay, I have my bounty now. When do I get my money reward for this?" It's like, in the meantime, the guys are doing a check, and it's like, "You're not getting any reward. This is not Harry Mudd. He's here. He's here." And you have Harry Mudd going, "Of course I'm Harry Mudd. You've caught me." And it's like, "No, you're not." Opens this door, and it's like you have half a dozen other Harry Mudds there, and they realise that they all been a droid, and you have Harry Mudd setting him set his own robot uh, out to people to take in, so Harry Mudd can get the money from the bounties on these, it, and it's like I didn't see that coming until that opened. It was like this guy. It seems legitimate, and Mudd's got history with uh, droids and robots and from the original series, so it fits in together. Just love it, and I haven't done it justice. If you can get it, better watch definitely.
Definitely
Olympus.
watch it. Definitely watch it. It's one of my favorite short tracks. I loved Mud in Discovery, and how conniving he was in that. So to see him or his robots in a similar vein in this, and seeing the con he was up to was really clever. And likewise, because I'm normally really good at telling where a story is going and getting to the twist before the twist happens. This one was seconds away before I kind of went, no, oh, it is. But literally, you're talking about as the door was opening, that's when I was going like, hang on a minute.
Yeah,
um,
it
it was
is.
really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, I'm usually terrible at seeing things not coming, and it's like, yeah, but this one was like, oh wow. Whereas others, it's like, yeah, I'll roll with the story. That's story up there. No, I love that.
Yeah.
But at the end, I will say what my other one I considered is,
Okay. No worries.
anyway,
I
I'll
wonder
leave that for.
why. Let's find out. My number two is going to go back to Star Wars again.
Ooh,
And we're going to visit one of the animated shows called Rebels. And this
that of course.
episode in particular is called Jedi Knight, but not Jedi Knight as in Knights Templar. Jedi Knight as in day and night.
Ah,
Um, and this is a very heartbreaking episode, actually. Kanan Jarrus, one of our main characters, has he was blinded probably about a season or so ago, if memory serves me right. I might be wrong there, but quite a while back he was blinded. He's a Jedi that he was a Padawan when Order 66 happened, and he escaped. So he didn't receive his full training. He's been sort of bringing himself up to speed since then, but he's been struggling for a little while, finding himself and finding his right balance and coming to terms with everything, I guess. And this episode, without going into the story too much, he gets to that point where he finds true balance in the Force, and he understands and he finds that clarity he's after. And he comes to that realization properly whilst he's defending his friends. He's protecting them from a massive explosion that's about to engulf them, so they can escape from wherever it was they were and whatever it was they were doing. And in doing so, he sacrifices himself. And you've just got it's a very emotional scene, but you've got this moment towards the end of it, seconds before he shoves the ship that his friends are in away with the Force, and then he gets engulfed with the flames, where his sight comes back. So his grey, shadowy eyes return to the way they were, just for a few brief little moments. It's a really beautiful episode, and again, similar to what you just said about your last pick, Ben, it just doesn't do it justice talking about it. And I'd say go away and just watch this episode, but you really need to watch the previous however many episodes of Rebels, because it's your attachment to Kanan and to Hera in particular. It's your attachment to those key characters that really makes this episode and that scene really special. So I guess what I'm saying is go watch Star Wars Rebels.
Definitely. And actually, I'd like seeing like Hera afterwards, in Ahsoka, and the aftermath to this. It's
Oh, she's
lovely.
played brilliantly. Everyone in Ahsoka, I think, they play their respective animated characters beautifully.
Yeah. But, no, that sounds good. I like that. Oh, I'm gonna keep this in a way my number one pick. Bit dark, thinking about night. So I'm gonna go to what is probably my favourite TV show from any of the franchises, and I'm gonna go to the heart of the Dominion War. So that places you in Deep Space Nine, and they're having everything's going badly. Lots of people are dying. They're putting up like in a morbid thing, so everybody that's died lately, so everybody can go and just check if they've lost anybody, etc. And you've got the Federation and the Klingons fighting against the Dominion. I was going to say the Dominion and the Cardassians, but the Cardassians are part of the Dominion at this stage. You've got various parties, including the Romulans, which are being completely neutral. And they're being very, use the phrase, but very logical about what's going on. And they're having to think about what they want to see where things turn out. And basically, Ben Sisko has goes, I want to go. We need to do something about this. And he goes down this dark way. What's the word he says? Road. The road is always lined with good intentions, and it's a case of he has a word with Garrick and goes, "Is there anything we can do here? Can you by doing this, doing that?" And bear in mind, this is him going through. It's done through the perspective of he's doing his captain's log, and you keep going back to this, and it's like Eric keeps going, "Oh, let's try this. Why don't we? I have a data rod. We can fake this. We can pretend the Dominions are going against the Romulans and they're going to attack them." And yeah, there's this guy Romulan passing by. He can come in sneakily, and yeah, they have a conversation. You have the famous line, "It's a fake," comment going on, and then strangely enough, there is a Romulan who suddenly gets blown up in a runabout. Strangely enough, and it's like Kirk, Cisco goes in. It's like, you piece of thing to Garrick, and it's like, you did that. It's like, yeah, I did. I did the things you could not do. They're going to find this data rod. And Cisco goes, oh, sorry, I am giving away the ending, but the journey is part of this fun, the fun of it. And it's like, yeah. And he's going, and Cisco goes, no, they're going to find out it's fake. Yes, but how are they going to see that? Is it because it got blown up in a thing? And they're going to go, those thoughts are because of blowing up. And Eric was right. They think that's real. The damage to it is because it got blown up. And as he said, we lose two people and three people, and the respect of one Federation officer. Is that worth it? Than all the lives that you're losing? It's just like Siska goes. I'm paraphrasing here. I can live with it. It's a dark and enjoyable episode, and it's like sums up the war completely. Bad things happen. Did he make the right decision? Yes and no. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Before,
Well, I do vaguely remember it. What's the name of the episode?
um, in the pale moonlight. So yeah, it's another one of those episodes where yeah, it's got a Tato story, and it's like bad things happen sometimes, and and yeah, people do things that are not right sometimes, and does that make them a better person or a worse person? Yeah,
It's something I love about the S9 is that they're brave enough to go to those places, to ask those questions, to force viewers to ask those questions, and quite often for the end result of a storyline or an episode plot or whatever it is to actually not be the full happy ending that everyone wants. There's often a little twist, a little burn, a little cut, something sore, something that leaves a nasty taste in the mouth because that's real life. And that's something I really like
yeah,
about DS9.
yeah. And you also get to see, gosh, not as much as another episode, but you can get to see what Garrick is about.
Yeah, that's true. And Garrick's one of our favourites, let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
What is your number one pick?
yeah, I'll keep the Star Trek. I'll go to TNG. Yeah, so I'll stick with Star Trek and I'll go to TNG and talk very, very briefly about what I think is probably one of the best two-parters in all of Star Trek history, and that is the best of both worlds, where you have the Borg arriving in the Alpha Quadrant on a direct course for Earth. They're going to obliterate and assimilate humanity. You've got Picard being plucked from the Enterprise and turned against his crew and his people. You've got the Enterprise crew in disarray. Riker being forced into command, which is something that in previous years he's been aspiring towards, but all of a sudden there's no choice. He's there, now he's doing it. You've got our fun little upstart, Shelby, who brings a lot of fun and really shakes things up on the ship. And it's a much needed one because I think part of the big message behind this episode was that things were getting comfortable for the Enterprise crew. And
Yeah, you
and
had that. So I was about to say you had that discussion between Troy and Riker before when he was still thinking about being on the Melbourne.
yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. They've been getting comfortable, and that is actually reflected as well in terms of the cast and the crew in the show. By the time you got into season 3, they'd all found their groove. They were all moving very smoothly. They were enjoying it. They were in a good sort of they had a good momentum going. So it was the right time, both in real life and on the show, to really shake things up and create a challenge. And it made some of the best Star Trek TV I've ever watched. An episode, the only episode that I have in my honourable mentions, and I'll mention it now, is Family, which is the episode directly after the best
This
of
one,
both
yeah.
worlds, because it actually it's a nice calm down after the chaos of that two-parter, but again it deals with some very, very difficult themes, and it does not have the happy rosy ending that a lot of Star Trek episodes tend to have because of what it has explored, and it's explored it very, very bravely. So yeah, it's a two-parter that has danger, there's jeopardy, there's starship battles. You've got some great scenes with Guinan, Whoopi Goldberg in there,
Yeah.
but
I think they,
ultimately, like the crew's tested to the limits. The human race was at risk of annihilation. It was a proper sort of doomsday style two-parter, and I absolutely love it. I can't watch it enough.
they agree. But it is great. Yeah, it's a very good episode, and this is the first one that goes over 2 seasons. So
Indeed, it
that's the
is.
one I run at the beginning of the second. So no, very good. I'm glad you done that. Oh, pause on the doors. I know you've been keeping records of the last two episodes. So
Actually, there's a point.
have you? Oh, I've managed to. I do it as I go along. So
Yeah. Um.
yeah,
So that's the thing. I've not tallied them, but Ben,
yeah,
5 for 5 Star Trek,
I know.
which in
And
part I'm impressed with, and then there's the opposite half of me, which is like, you need to watch Star Wars television.
yeah, I do. Most of my stuff is through the live action uh, stuff, and because it's most of it's been done recently, it's that I can't like the new Star Trek. I struggle to enjoy a episode by itself because it's part of that bigger story arc. A couple of the ones I was considering thinking about that were on a bit for the honourable mentions were all the openest episodes for whether it be oh, I mean I've had a mind blank. So let's go with Book of Boba Fett, or whether it was um, what's the one we reviewed? Let me say whether this was good. So the Acolyte. So I like the
Yeah,
fighting at the beginning of those. That was really really good. Um, even Obi-Wan, that was, and Ahsoka. Both of those were really really good.
I agree with you on all these points. You have to get into the animated stuff. Honestly, get
Yeah,
yourself through the first season of each of them, and it becomes phenomenal. And you know what's better? The Bad Batch, you don't even need to get through the first season. It's brilliant from the onset because by the time they
yeah,
created Bad Batch, they'd already found their groove with both, obviously, what they did with the Clone Wars and what they did with Rebels. So,
yeah,
yeah, you've got to watch those, mate. It's some phenomenal television. And then Skeleton Crew's the other one that, again, I didn't list anything similar to last time because we're not at the end of the season yet. As of today's recording date, we are 2 days away from the finale to season 1 of Skeleton Crew, which I'm very much looking forward to. So
yeah.
that's why I've not put anything on there, but there are already some really good contenders from that season that could have been on my list. But in terms of scores on the doors, Star Trek 7, Star Wars 3.
Yeah, it is, and oh yeah, that's mainly because my heads when it comes to episodes, as I said, the standalone ones are a little bit more in the forefront, and notice 4 of my 5 picks are from the TNG era of
Indeed,
Trek.
they
So
are.
yeah, um, couple of my other honourable mentions. Um, you have the holodeck episode from Voyager with Queen Arachnia, with Janeway dressed up as the Queen of the Spider People. Got Ensign Rowe from TNG. Um, one I had for the short tracks as my other option was Q&A. That's number one, and Spock singing. You got the. Do you want to have a guess at the other one I had for Enterprise instead of the in a Mirror Dark, the Enterprise episodes?
Hmm. Is it the three-parter that involves the augments?
Oh, good guess, but no. I did. I did consider the other three-parter, which was the Vulcan arc,
Yep.
but I had picked that in trilogies, so I decided not to do it for this one. But I was going to have the Andorian incident, them
Oh,
going to
yes, that's
Gem.
a good one with Gem. Yes. I absolutely love that. And again, it's because they were brave enough to turn around at the end and go, you know what? This isn't happily ever after. Because the Vulcans were the moopsies in that
Bad guys,
scenario.
yeah, definitely. Um, and a couple from DS Mine because I could have easily done a number five picks for DS Mine. I'm going to go Duet, where you had a suspected war criminal from the Cardassians talking with Kira. You had Trials and Tribulations, Second Skin, which is when Kira was a Cardassian, um, and he mourns for Morn. And
I love it.
anyway,
Is that the episode where Morn, everyone believes Morn's died and in reality just disappeared for a couple of days to go do something and it came back?
yeah, basically, they had a whole episode from him, and he's in what, 2 minutes at the end, and it's just
Pretty
like,
much. Oh, good fun. Good fun.
yeah. Olympus, have you got any honourable mentions before I fill the next 10 minutes up?
Literally too much. There's too many possibilities, which is why I just kept it to the one episode, which was family. We can probably come up with a couple of other top 5 categories to explore quite a few of these. I love your idea for top 5 seasons. I think we can go somewhere with that.
Oh,
But
definitely.
we can take that offline, I guess. But no, nothing else for me, purely because it's too much. I'd be here all day.
Oh, you're going to find me on YouTube and Twitch. I'm going to be building the rest of that. So look up on YouTube, which is going to look like what Olympus is pointing at. So we have all the details in the gobbledygook on the bottom. Olympus.
You can find me at Olympus0511 across the majority of platforms, including Twitch, YouTube, and you can also find me on Trek Central. I'm a writer for the community over there. So if you go to the Trek Central website, you will find some of my articles there. I've got another few all in the process of being written and published coming up very soon as well. So watch this space. And I've actually got an article. It was the very first one I ever wrote for the website, celebrating 30 years of All Good Things, which was my number 4 pick today. So yeah,
Yay.
take a little gander at that if you feel like taking 5 minutes to have a little read at something.
It'll be down below in the chat on YouTube. So for me, may the force be with you always, or live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. May the force be with you. Something else I can't think. No. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much for joining.